you guys had a lovely last month in June. Welcome to July. Week D workout, for those of you working with me through the summer. We're going to work on support, quads, and balance this week. And so the idea of support from Donna Farhi's yogic movement principles is the idea that you are pushing down into the earth in order to get sort of a rebound of effort and balance, and support really is the greatest word for that. So if you've ever been in a yoga class where someone says root to rise, the visualization that people sometimes use is that you're growing roots down through whatever's contacting the floor, whether that be your feet into the floor or the palms of your hands, right? If you're pressing into your hands during a yoga practice, you want to think about using all of your fingers into the mat, making sure your first two knuckles really have good contact and your thumb as well. So we're like pressing into the mat as though we're trying to spread our roots downward, and the way that a tree reaches downward and then out while pushing itself up in the air. That's sort of this thing that helps people to visualize that support. The other thing I like to say about support is that I think of support as being like a shock system on a bicycle or a vehicle of some sort, right? So if you think about that coil in an old-fashioned, like a spring coil in an old-fashioned shock system, support for me feels like a squishy or bouncy downward feeling as opposed to being locked up tight. Yeah, so even though I might be reaching and radiating down to the floor, sometimes it's hard to think about radiating when you're really like bending or squatting into a big lunge. And so instead I think about that juicy, strong, slow, bouncy feeling. Yeah. Memory foam, for example, would be sort of a consistency I might think about. And when we have that feeling of pushing into the floor, it sets us up to feel like we can expand and bounce off that place. Remember, if you are like really stiff against the floor and not feeling connected, it's easier for you to like fall off your balance because you're just clinging to yourself. And the idea of support is really to think about integrating the sensation, sort of the kinesthetic or bodily sensation feeling of the whole ground as part of what you're working with here. So I'm not just thinking I am a body on top and I could fall over, but I'm thinking like if I really reach through my feet and expand outward as I'm getting my balance, then it helps me to feel like I have more sensation, awareness, and integration of all those little muscles throughout the body. So that's where the idea of support comes from. For folks who are new to a yoga practice, the first time that we focus on support, one of the big differences that you might notice would be, for example, feeling like you are invited to go deeper into your lunges. So instead of like getting here and feeling safe and confident, there's an invitation to find the edge of where your thigh muscles, for example, are feeling like they're really working with effort. Whereas sometimes when we're just like, oh no, I have to balance, we kind of hover above instead of sinking down and pressing down into the floor. And that's different than yielding, where we're going to find ways to relax to get lower. This is really like, it is the inverse of radiate, because we think of radiate as being up and out. And yet when we're radiating in all directions, we're also radiating down to the floor. And that has overlap with this idea of support. So that said, let's get started. And we are joined as usual by my assistant Biscotti, who is hopefully going to be a good kitty today and not sharpen his claws on my mat, but he's learning, so we'll give a little patience for him. Yes. All right, a lot of folks are feeling tight in the neck today, so let's start out with that. Yeah. All right, down onto the mat. Go ahead and start your trackers for those of you who are tracking your workouts. And if you have a meditation assistant, You can bring them into your lap to start. If you were doing a very formal meditation, of course, you wouldn't want to be letting yourself be distracted by the fluffiness of your tail. But if you're just a regular human trying to find relaxation in this world, take it where you can get it. Big breath in. There's a time for both kinds of practice. Slowing your breath. I have a sound issue, I can tell. Big breath in. When you're ready, let your hands come up. If you're not quite ready yet, it's okay to wait. Stay there in your breath a little longer. So on your next exhale, let your chin come down to your chest. So the rest of our back's going to stay up, but we're just going to really drop that skull forward. Big breath in. And taking the hands to the back of your skull, we're going to gently press the head down. And take a breath here. Try to release that neck. Release your head, coming up and reaching over. Big breath in. And place your palm imaginarily on that back wall. If you can reach your back wall, why not? Actually, it's really quite nice to touch the back wall. Pressing your heart forward away from those fingers. Then take your hand down behind your hip. So I'm just resting the top of my hand on my hip back here. And I'm going to lift my chest up and take my right hand, which was on the floor, and gently place it over my head. Now please be aware, most of us lean forward and slouch, so I'm not asking you to lean forward and slouch stretch. I'm asking you to pull your chin in so you feel like you have just a half an extra chin here, and then let your hand guide your head towards the shoulder. And then left hand's going to reach away from that ear. And we softly, gently, slowly move through a nod. Still sitting up quite tall. And release. Switching hands. Now your right hand's going to go behind your back. We're going to make sure we're sitting up super tall. And lean away from that side. Gentle nod. Release. Big breath in. Lean over to the left and spread the right hand to that back wall. Or if you don't have a wall there, just think about reaching that shoulder back behind you and opening the chest. If you do have a wall, touch the wall, press away from it. Use it for resistance. And around down to the front. And feel your body weight into the floor. And take those arms back behind you. Grab your hands and lift up. If you can't reach back here at all, but you have a yoga strap or a t-shirt or something, you can also grab 2 pieces of an end of fabric to use to hold behind yourself. If you can reach your fingers, that's great. And come on back up. Go ahead and take both hands behind you. Lift your heart up. And then drop your rib cage down along the back of the neck. Notice whether your deltoids are a little triggered. Mine is a little triggered right now. That means I've been slouching forward and they've been doing too much work for me. Swinging my arms back. First, I'm going to stretch my shoulders, so I'm going to let my hands walk back. And I invite you to take a big breath in and then drop your spine towards the mat. Let the weight of your back and the weight of your thighs pull open your hips a little bit. And then I'm going to push and rock side to side with my arms and let the deltoids stretch here. So I'm swaying my spine like a hammock here in the middle of my shoulders. And if you're not feeling your shoulders stretch yet, walk your hands a little bit further. And walk your hands up, closer to your buns. Chins in, pull your chin and your jaw back. 1.5 chins, shoulders down, and option to lift those hips. Soften the hips down. Big breath in. Switching your legs. Big breath in. Flat back forward. Lifting that belly lock in. And now I'd like you to use that sensation of support. So I want you to push your legs down into the mat as you reach your heart forward. Settle down to the front. And roll on up. Circle those shoulders with me. And as you're circling the shoulders, start to engage that feeling of pushing down through your legs. So that sort of means I'm pushing my thighs wider. I'm lifting my belly lock in. So I'm centering and I'm rooting. I'm trying to circle those shoulders. Shoulder blades down the back. Spine nice and tall. Exhale, revolve to your left. Big spinal twist. And inhaling up. And switching sides. Thinking about that unicorn horn of your spine, right? We don't want to have it slouching or twisting around. We want it just to spiral straight up. So to do that, I'm going to use my core a little bit. I'm going to pull down my shoulders so that I'm not reaching past myself by lifting those shoulders up. And that anchoring feeling is also going to help me as I push my thighs down and open into the mat. So down and open into the mat, fingertips down and open to the mat, finding that big spiral. And we're going to inhale back center, and then we're going to flow side to side today. So we're going to inhale center and flow to your left again. And I'm going to slide my hand behind me and diagonally lift my right hand across my body. Let it open. Come back up on my unicorn horn spiral space. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, flowing to the other side. And inhale and get a little taller. Exhale, pressing down with support. Find a breath here. And then slide that hand diagonally across the body. Big switch. Open that chest, coming back up center. And curve the body. Coming through to our Navasana, which is the boat pose. You might have heard it called the boat pose in English. Yeah. Navasana starts with an A. Slide those legs up. Pulling your belly lock in and reaching your hands out. Oh, you want to get lifted? Okay. Lifting the kitten. I know we're on a boat. And settle it down. Big breath in. Reaching your shoulders down and back together. I'm going to press my heart forward and flex my toes. And exhale, soft knees forward. I'm going to really bend my knees so that I can walk my booty back. And my rib cage, I'm going to creep and crawl my rib cage down my thighs. So definitely bent legs for most of us. Creep and crawl that rib cage down. And as bent as your knees need to be, we're going to take our hands and wrap over our feet and press our big toes, middle toes, second toes, every single toe back in towards the shins. Big breath in. And again, release your head, neck, and shoulders into that stretch. Inhale, lift up that spine, creepy crawl the ribs a little bit further, a little deeper into that stretch, and roll on up softly, gently. And we just started our yoga practice today, so if this is the first thing you've done today, that might not feel very opening. It might feel very tight, and that's okay for the beginning of your day. Go ahead and take your knees into your chest. And we're going to take those hands back again. One more time. Pressing open the chest, deltoids, and see if you can get the stretch to happen into your armpits and pectoral muscles. Because usually when our shoulders and neck are tight, it's because the shoulders and neck have been balancing out the tightness of those pecs. Go ahead and roll onto your right side. And we're going to open up the arm to the side here. Rotate the whole chest, shoulders down. And then exhale. Thread the needle. Left hand's going to come all the way underneath that back, looking underneath your armpit. So big spinal twist. And release that. Come on up. Thighs together. A little pass through Navasana. Other side. And look underneath your arm. Unwind that body again. Send those legs out. Let's go ahead and talk about side plank for today. We're going to pass through it. The most important alignment issue when you're doing a side plank is that when we're beginners, we tend to let this supporting shoulder roll forward. So for example, coming up and having this still be like popped out. So the way that we avoid this situation here is to use our back muscles. So if you could please take a moment and give yourself a big hug. Hello, self. And you can feel the tips of your shoulder blades down here underneath your fingers when you reach around, most likely. And underneath that, if you shrug your shoulders up for a second, and these guys are pretty relaxed, this is your latissimus dorsi and teres minor. And if you then center your shoulder blades down, so it's like that feeling of pulling your elbow in, even more so you can pull your actual elbow in like we did last week as the like bird putting its wings away. You feel this whole side of your body ignite up. That feeling of using your latissimus dorsi, teres minor, everything to help pull down that shoulder down in black, which keeps it open, which helps with not slouching. That will help you to be able to push up into a side plank without your shoulder collapsed and popped forward where it gets a little injured and tired, yeah? So every time we come into a side plank, we're definitely going to keep that shoulder down, whether we are on an elbow or a hand. And then here's the modification options for a side plank. You can do bust up a side plank, which is I'm going to keep my hand in line with my knees, and then I'm going to push up my hips, trying to keep all three of those things in alignment. Yeah, so definitely using my back muscles here, keeping my knees, spine, and head in one line and shoulders down so we can come up onto the knee. Alternately, you can stretch that top leg out, come up onto the knee, and notice I'm trying to still make that straight line, yes? So I'm starting to reach through that foot that's on the floor, but I'm mostly supporting myself with this knee leg. So that's kind of halfway in between. You can come up all the way fully into a side plank. Yeah. You can put a foot in front. Let's try that. And come on down and release it. Let's try the other side. Yeah. So the thing to remember is that your knees and hands are the two things that you set up as a line, as a straight line, and then your hips are going to come forward to that. Sometimes I'm going to go all the way side here. So we're on the opposite side. We're going to do a modified plank. Sometimes we put the knee and the hand on one line and the hips don't meet in the middle, right? So if I come here and like I'm leaving my butt back, that's kind of a beginner stage thing, right? So I want to make sure I'm using my glutes to get hands, knee, both shoulders, everything all on one plane. Whether I'm in modified, two knees on the floor, one knee on the floor, one foot, or both feet on the floor, or one leg in front. Yeah, we're trying to think about it as though shoulders, hips, and knees all get flat on that same plane. Okay, that said, let's get started on our sun salutation for today. And we're going to try and pass through some side poses in the midst of that. Yeah, so it'll be a little bit different than a regular sun salutation. Okay, coming to the front of our mat. Big breath in. Settling down here. Notice when you get to this stage, do you tend to lean onto one foot more than the other? I do, it's very natural, but it's not giving me the best, most balanced workout. So I'm going to slow us down here in this squat today. Think about your knees being even, not one knee forward or back, and the weight even in both feet. Really feel that moment. Drop your head. Shake your head out as you go through forward fold. Soften those knees to come up to flat back. Take your arms back. Soften those knees as you drop back down. And roll all the way up. And we're going to take your left leg up. We're going to turn it out first today. Oh, look, it's a tree. Remember, feeling through your foot. Yes, we're supporting today. So as you're standing in your tree, and make it an easy tree, notice whether your foot has the weight falling out, falling in, forward, back. And try to find the place by moving your hips around that makes that feel the best. Go ahead and send your toe to the back floor. Turn it back to parallel if it wasn't. Reaching your arms up, lifting through the core. Find warrior three. Yeah, for me, that means I'm going to lean my heart forward past my arms a little bit so my arms are up by my ears, shoulders are still down. And I counterbalance my way up, feeling that foot on the floor, stepping back to high lunge. And then we're going to feel this feeling of support today. So I'm going to let my back leg bend, really squaring my hips, find my core, and I'm going to drip down into it with force. So I'm pushing the earth beneath myself. I'm going to send my back heel, reaching back in space, and then I'm going to root down. Staying there. Get to a place where you feel like, oh, I'm going to sweat still. If you're perched up here, yeah, you're not at your edge, so you want to find your edge. Big breath in. Exhale, push down. Big breath in. And reach out to come down to the floor. Lift that forward knee off the ground, excuse me. End up lifting a kitten here. Come back to your plank. And instead of chaturanga, we're going to roll to the side here. And that means you can be putting yourself down on your knees first. Roll to the side and open to the side plank. Come back to parallel. Chaturanga vinyasa now. Back to downward dog. Shrug those shoulders up. And drop those shoulders down so that they feel like they're sliding to your hips. And then go ahead and look forward today at your hands. And I want you to feel yourself. We mostly default into all the weight being in the heels of the palms, right? No weight in the knuckles. So I want you to root down through the knuckles, the thumbs and the first two fingers especially. Then all the rest of your fingers pressing into the mat actively. Rotate those elbows back. And lifting up the leg you stepped back with. And exhale, bring that leg to the outside of its own arm. And step it through. Knee over ankle. We're going to drop the back knee down today to low lunge. And we're going to twist towards the front knee. So to start with, I'm going to push down into this front knee. Feel that feeling? Notice if the knee is falling out for you today or if it's going too far forward. Adjust as needed and push straight down. So I'm coming up, both hands there, looking back over my shoulder. And I'm going to switch hands and I'm going to reach back with my shoulder. And then I'm going to press down. Making sure that my chin is helping my neck spiral over, dropped shoulders. I invite you to do the same. Sometimes we forget that neck is part of our spine. So when we're doing a rotation of the spine, let your neck go too on that journey. All right, I'm going to shift my weight back into high lunge, pushing into the floor, and pull your forward hip back to square. Back leg can be bent. Now we're in the pyramid. Hop that back leg foot in so that you can stay. Softening both legs. We're going to step forward onto the front foot and lift that back foot to step it together. Feet together. Knees in alignment, toes in alignment. Choot, choot. Even weight both feet. Take the time to feel it as you drop your hips back and slowly stack your body back up, feeling the weight even in both feet. Big breath in. Open that heart. Grab your hands behind if you can. If you want to grab a strap instead. We're going to pull our chin in and open that chest. Stay here, strong abs. Free those hands, shoulders down, bringing your head over the front of your rib cage and opening up the other knee. Think about the position of your hips over that foot. Remember, while I'm talking, you're staying in the pose. I'm going to think about moving my pelvis above the placement of my foot in order to work on balance here. Yeah? It's not that my ankle needs to adjust. It's that I'm going to use those thigh and hip muscles to move my center of gravity over the arch of the foot or even the ball of the foot. All right. Knee and toe straight forward. I'm going to close that leg, close that hip, so I'm at a straight, squared pelvis. If my weight is falling to the outside of my standing foot, I'm going to support down through the big toe. I'm going to push into the big toe. Find my lengthened body. My abdominal wall's working hard. Keep it all flat as I counterbalance forward and step back into high lunge, dropping my body low. Yes, make sure that you feel your weight even from your pinky toe to your big toe in back. If you don't feel that weight even, then you're probably twisting your knee a little bit, slightly turned out, opened hip. You want it to be square and everything is reaching forward. So back hip's reaching forward and we are pushing down into the earth. Go ahead and take it down. I'm going to step back to plank. I'm going to put both knees down for today and swivel to side plank. Make sure your hips are in that line with your shoulders. Your shoulders are rolled back. Good, good. Come back to your regular plank for Chaturanga Vinyasa. And up and back. 3 big breaths here. Can you make this about resting? And roll those shoulders, slide them back down your back, and look forward to your hands. Make sure you're supporting through the pointer finger and the middle finger knuckles as well as the thumb. Revolve those elbows towards the floor. Feet are all the way together if they weren't. You're gonna lift that leg back. Bring it forward to your bent elbow. When you're ready, step through. Good, good. We're in a high lunge here. Find your weight down. Same hand, same knee. Got my back leg down. And cross and twist. Shoulders support down, pushing into the floor. Revolving the whole body, shoulders down. Coming back home. Back leg's gonna reach back. I'm gonna take my front hip back in space for pyramid pose, which means I'm gonna probably be scooching my back leg in, boop, 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 a few times so that I can let my back leg bend and my front leg stretch for a deep front hamstring stretch. And this is a great time to look back at that back foot and make sure that all 5 toes are on the floor and your knee and second toe are aligned to the front. Extending through those legs. Shift forward onto your front leg. Optional Hanuman. Stepping together. Drop those hips. Check your knee and toe alignment. Knees stay behind the ball of the foot. Now, you can come back up again like we did before, or option to settle your hips down onto your heels. Lift up through your belly lock. Let your heels rock forward. Shoulders back. Press your knees forward, squeeze your thighs together, and support down through the earth. Thighs together, thighs together, thighs together, thighs together to rise up. Lovely. And heels drift. We're going to go ahead and find a wall or a chair if you like. We're going to work on stretching out those quads. So most of us grab off to the side. That's fine. I'd like you to pull your thighs back together and re-square those hips. And then a lot of us bring the knee forward and curve our back. That's going to stretch your back more than your hip socket and thighs. So please bring your knees back together. And then tuck that pelvis back to vertical. Option to grab with 2 hands. Open the chest if you can, bringing your elbows back. Pressing your whole foot down into the earth. Yeah, so you want to feel yourself radiate, push down, root to rise. Go ahead and release. If you're like, shoot, I am not getting to that foot at all, here's some alternate tips. 1 is you can grab your pants. They're already down there. 2 is you can grab a strap, a blanket, or a towel. This one's too big, but it'll do. This is way too big. But you can get the idea, right? Where you can use a piece of fabric to hold your foot back and then pull up on the strap, blanket, or towel. A belt would work, especially like if you have a bathrobe. That soft belt from a bathrobe is perfect for this. And you can hold on to anything that makes sense with your other hand, yes? So the other thing I'd like you to remember as you're doing this quad stretch is that we don't want to be holding the heel out to the side, even though we may grasp it here. We'd like that heel to go directly back to its own hip socket so that we're not torquing the knee as we're stretching the quadricep. Yeah, so thighs back together. Notice how the weight of that thigh and hip can pull your shoulder back down, so don't let it be curved and rolled forward, but opening that heart. If you can grab with 2 hands, that's great. If not, don't worry. So my other hand is grabbing just the big toe. And I'm squeezing my thighs together and really engaging my abs to get all the way back upright. And then I'm reaching my thigh down to the center of the earth and reaching my standing leg down to the center of the earth. I invite you to support and release. Then go back to the first side. If you don't have a strap, you're still not able to reach, you're trying to make do, it's okay to just hold that leg back up there. You're gonna get a lot more hamstring workout. And that's fine too, right? If you're just holding it here. All right, so grabbing your foot, thighs together, tailbone vertical. One more time. Here's another way to grab is across. So let's go ahead and grab this time across. So this is going to be, I think, your left leg and right arm, for example. And then pull the thighs together. So you have to squeeze the thighs together to get it back to your center line. Remember, we centered last week. That's that feeling we want. Good, good, good. Okay. So, Nacharajasana is the King Dancer pose, and it is a mix of Warrior 3, where we're doing the balancing stick, right? aligned, balanced one leg, and that grab of the foot. And one of the things that helps with the grab of the foot is to push back. So let's come on down to the floor here. And I know not everybody's knees are really comfy with sitting down here on the floor. So there are a few modifications that you can do. One is if you have a brick and you just want a little bit of support, or a towel. Those are the two props that you could use. I'm gonna use a brick because I have a brick and a container of wet wipes. And you can stick something a few inches squishy and thick. This is a little bit narrow actually, but if it were a towel, it would actually work better. So you can put that rolled up towel, for example, behind your knee to make a little bit more space. No one can see when you stand there, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so if your knee feels like it's in the knee socket, sitting here is tiring, you can try rolling up a towel in between there. Or you can put a brick back here just to sit. Actually, I think long ways is more comfortable for me, but you can lift it up higher. So you can sit on the brick instead of sitting all the way down, so that also puts less pressure on the knee. But whatever your choice is, whichever spot you choose, please be aware that we want to practice straight ankles, yeah, aligned ankles. But most of us tend to, and I'm going to turn around and show, cross the foot or the toe. It just feels a little cozy back there. But what that does is practice the act of rolling your ankle out in the way that a rolled ankle would get injured. So you want to practice that straight ankle, and that is definitely going to fire up a big stretch for some folks' ankles who are not used to pointing their toes, right? So some people getting back here, it's not the knees that bother them, but the foot. So using a brick can help with that as well. Or you could even put that soft item like a rolled up towel underneath the ankle to support the ankle if your ankle really doesn't know how to point yet. And then you'll work towards a more comfortable space. Okay, that said, we want to take this feeling of pulling in and together and opening up the hip flexors so that we can get to a nice long body here where we can access Natyarajanasana and Warrior 3 more thoroughly. So we're going to do a little flow here through the knees, using your support if you like. What we're going to do first is to think about curving and arching our lower back especially, right? So this would be the cat position where we're curved up, and the cow position where we're like dropping udders down, right? So go ahead and come here. Give yourself a reminder of how juicy your spine can be, because it doesn't feel that way all the time. This is a very nice cat back demonstration here. Can you show us your cat back? There you go. See, like that cat. Cat and cat. All right, so we're gonna sit back into our knees now, and we're gonna do cat cow here with our hands on our knees. And then we're going to lift up our pelvis in that position. So we're gonna come up, placing my hands down my sacrum. The sacrum is that triangle of bone between where your pelvis reaches down between the glutes. And I'm gonna cat-cow here. And as much as I can, I'm gonna scoop that tailbone underneath myself, support my two thighs towards each other, and then push down with my feet into the mat. Push the tops of your feet into the mat to bring your belly button skyward. Shoulders back, elbows back, and come back up. And take a little break. Curve cat. Press my feet into the floor, thighs together, and this time I'm going to preset my arms. So I'm going to take my hands, palms to the sacrum, elbows back, arch, and then curve to cat. And press my feet into the floor to rise up. And I'm trying to keep my hips over my knees. There's a big temptation to dip your hips back here. So squeeze those hips forward, shoulders back, and come on up. And let it back down to your child's pose. Let yourself rock side to side. And rolling up. Now earlier today we were practicing that spiral of the spine. We're going to integrate that with the camel. So the camel pushes you up, and then we're going to open one arm. If you do have a brick, especially if it were back here, we're going to leave a brick back here by the side of your body to reach if you want, or you can just reach for your heels. So for this version of it, we're going to tuck our toes. Yes, tuck your toes. So now my feet are flexed. The balls of the feet are on the floor. I'm really trying to bring my toes up towards my knees to get to that place where I can comfortably rest. Brick can be behind you or not. We're going to take a big breath in, and we're going to curve. Yeah. We're going to take our hands to the back of the sacrum again. Lift our bellies in. Pull your elbows back. Press those hips up. Lifting your torso in and reaching back to the brick or to a heel. And I'm just going to reach one hand this time. Lifting up, square hips. Option to reach the other hand skyward. And bring my body up. Down to your child's pose. And back up. Tucking tail. Spiral that spine. Reach for the brick or a heel or just air. Maybe it's just air today, that's fine. Thighs together. Shoulders back. Abdominal wall brings you up. Back to center. And back to your child's pose. Press with your hands so you're curving that lower spine. Rolling back up. All right, you can choose to do side and side again or to stay with your hands on your hips this time. Option number 3 is going to be trying to put both hands back. All right, here we go. I'm going to tuck my feet. Take a breath in. Hands to the sacrum, shoulders center back. Tucking my hips underneath, centering my thighs together, pushing my feet into the floor to try and get my tipped back pelvis to rise. Chin into my chest, reaching my hands down to my heel and then pushing the hips back up. And that is definitely at least an E. It's okay if it feels like a no thank you today. Come back up and rest back down to your child's pose. Push your heels into your hips, or your hips into your heels. And rolling back up. Coming back to all fours. And we're going to find our nice healthy hands on the floor, pointer fingers forward, elbows rotated in and back. Lift it up through the spine so it feels nice and broad. I'm going to slide your right leg back, and I'm going to zip up with the left arm. Yeah, big stretch already for some of us. That's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and bend my foot towards my hand, right over the top, and lift by pushing my foot into my hand. Now, most of us can't just reach back there, so this is a great place for a strap or grabbing the foot. Ideally, we want to set this up without a whole lot of like torquing the back and getting into it, but that's not always the way that our paths go. Sometimes our paths are circuitous, right? So go ahead, I'm going to turn to the side. We'll do the same leg again. If you're like, whoa, I can't get back that or I'll leave the knee on the ground to grab, then rotate the rib cage and then push the foot into the hand. And remember not to abandon this belly. So if I don't relax my belly, you'll see my spine will drop here as I lift the leg because I'm not supporting my back. So I'm going to support my back as soon as I can. Grab the foot, belly lock in, spiral the shoulders. This is a beautiful place to pause for today. This might be your bus stop. The back does bend, but we're going to lift that core as much as we can. And let it back down. And both hands down. Go ahead and take that leg that was just up in the air forward. Come all the way down to your pigeon. And give it up to the earth. Hands in front of your shoulders. Come back to parallel legs. I'm going to bend that leg a little bit just to see where I'm going. I'm going to lift my core in before I twist. I'm going to twist my shoulders and reach back. And maybe I have to come around to the side and find my way down here on the floor. That's groovy. Then the trick to getting it up here is really to spiral the spine. Yes? Supported tummy. Spiral the spine. That's bus stop B already. Push your foot into the hand to get the leg to fly up. Drop the knee towards the earth. Rotate the shoulders and release. One more time here. The other thing I notice while I'm doing is if I keep my weight too far back here, yeah, so my hand's too close to my knee, it's hard to get up off the ground and float up. So I do want to feel like I'm at least all fours, even if I'm like reaching around closely here. Resist the urge to keep your hand close to the standing leg. Scooch it forward, shift your weight out, then lift your belly. Spiral your spine, knees should be pointing straight down, heel next to your buns, and press. Up, re-engage my core, more twist. Pushing into my forward hand, supporting through the back leg, and let it back down. And back you go. All right, friends. I'm going to tuck those toes and walk it out. A lot of time on the knees there, friends. So as we walk it out, let's come to our forward fold with some compassion. Give yourself a little rub. Soft knees. Gently roll it up. And we're going to do our Nacharajasana. And you can definitely use the wall here. You can grab the back of a chair. Yeah. Parallel legs. Remember, spiral is key for this one. So first step we're going to do is take one hand on our leg, on our hip and our ribs, and rotate that spine, looking to the back. Inhale and switch. Drop the hips down. And notice how if I spiral by hips, one knee pops forward versus the other, right? So we want to keep our hips steady, pushing down into the earth, bottom of our body still. Press the arm across and open. And down. Open. And down. Yeah, knees nice and stable. We're going to find our support wall or chair. Same hand, same foot today. Find those legs together. Pull your abs in so you're supporting your lower back, and notice how my knee now drifted forward. So I have to push that knee back some more. I'm going to take a breath in. Whether you're using the floor, the wall or not, I'd like you to press down with your front arm for a second. It's okay if you're just balancing here. That's a big ask, just that. This arm that's reaching for your foot, remember we talked about the latissimus dorsi and teres minor? Your back should be squeezing down here. That's part of what keeps me from twisting side to side. So you do want to feel those muscles. The leg that's up, that side of the back is definitely working. And then I want you to pull the other side of the back, the opposite of the leg, back, and feel those shoulder blade muscles pushing you down, supporting downward. And if you like, touching the wall, touching the air, big breath in, you push your foot into your hand to float up. Really helps here to have a point that you are staring at. So your drishti. And release. And let it go. And we'll try the other side. So drishti, remember, is your focal point. So you're going to choose one spot to keep your eyes on. And that's usually what I'm choosing while I'm practicing making that horizon with my torso. So front on. Remember I said the hand that's on the foot, that shoulder is going to be anchored back through the back here, but we often end up reaching too far with the other shoulder. This muscle also has to pull back to square the whole torso, and that's what keeps you with your torso feeling like one thing, so that we can adjust the balance just with the hip muscles, putting that torso over the standing leg, right? If we're reaching too far and this guy's not engaged, then it makes us floppy and wobbly. It's harder to balance. So my torso is going to be still so that the function of balance can happen just in my hip. All right, here we go, other side. I'm engaging my core, so I'm reaching my tailbone down. I'm shifting my center over my standing leg. I'm going to find my foot and bring everything back to the center. I'm going to breathe in, lifting my arm up. My wall arm or chair arm. I found my drishti. Both shoulders are anchored down. I'm going to press the horizon down, so I'm really feeling my back engage. Big breath in. And now my foot's going to push into my hand, and that is what lifts the leg. Really pushing your foot into your hand lifts the leg. Finding your breath. Pushing the floor away underneath you. That standing leg is alive. All 5 toes. And come on up. Beautiful, friends. Let's shake that out and come on down to the floor. And we're going to take our feet to the side now and reach down in the middle. Inhaling up. Place our feet down here. So they're super bent. Basically got 90-degree angle between my thighs, and I'm going to reach my body forward and maybe walk my hips back so that I'm trying to take my belly button down to stretch the inner thighs here. Opening myself up and gently breathing down a little bit deeper. Remember, respecting your body. How this stretch looks for your body might be very bent and narrow, and that is more appropriate than straight legs as wide as you can, but the knees rolled forward, because you'll be hitting different muscles and you won't be working towards your middle stretch. All right, go ahead and come back in. And we haven't done our crow. We haven't done our crow in class at all, but I know you guys watched that crow breakdown video, which I did not expect folks to be able to do the crow at the end of it, but it gives you an idea sort of how like poses can be built up towards. So let's take our body weight forward towards the crow down. So I'm going to have my knees out. Some people do the crow with their knees in their armpits, and some people do them in the sort of the center back of the arm. Both are true and appropriate, but we're going to pull our hands back. I'm going to do mine center of the back of my arms today. I want my crow hands to be about as wide as my shoulder. I'm going to spread that body back. I'm going to lift up with my torso and belly and lean my head forward to find that spot. Oof. Good, come on down. We'll do one more moment of that. Remember, your toes can totally be on the floor. Practicing that teeter-totter feeling of leaning into it is absolutely working on building your strength to get you there one day. So, no need for judgment or self-questioning. But I'd like you today, since we're talking about support, to think about, did you feel like most of the weight was in the heel of your palm? I felt that way today. And can I get myself to press support through the fingers and knuckles as well as the heel of the palm for my next try? Big breath in. Notice I'm really pulling up my core here. I'm like perching to lean forward, and then I'm going to think about grabbing the whole floor. Good, let that out. Come on down and press out those hands. Hi, kitty. All right, we're going to take our hands back and tuck them right underneath your buns for the fish. So I'm going to roll my elbow down. I roll my other elbow down as much as I can, and then I'm going to pull my chin into my chest. So I'm making like 16 extra chins here. And bring my legs together. Flex my feet. Just like we did the staff a few weeks ago, I'm really thinking about squeezing my legs long and together. Engaging my back. I'm going to press support through those hands, and then I'm going to lift my chest up and back, and eventually let my head rest on my risen shoulders. But I'd like you first to think about pushing your elbows into the mat and your fingertips. More important than getting your head back. Chin to chest first, so chin all the way to your sternum. And then we bring our bellies down to come on up. Soften those knees, reach forward. Roll up. And we're going to move into the next version of the fish, which is definitely a bus stop option. So bus stop A for the fish, we just did it. Yeah, it's an arching feeling through your back, really pushing down and back with those hands, yes? If you're feeling like your elbows are sliding out to the side while you're doing bus stop A, then I want you to really focus on getting those elbows right back behind you because they want to slide out, so squeezing them together. Bus stop B, we're going to put our toes on the mat instead of straight legs. I'm going to go on the angle a little bit here. I'm going to bring my hands, again, my thumbs and fingertips are going right underneath my pelvis. Trying to keep those elbows close together. Engaging my core. So my core is going down towards the mat, but my ribs are coming up. And I'm making as many chins as I can as possible first, so that I'm really protecting my neck as I lean back. And then I decide to unfurl. Re-engage my core. Relax my neck. Tippy toes on the mat, or maybe even off. Find your abdominal strength if you're taking your legs off the mat. And you can extend those legs to a Navasana fish pose if you're pulling your waist down towards the mat. It's a very S-curvy combination. Toes back down, chin to chest, and waist back down. And go ahead and lay your whole back on the mat for a moment. Take a pause. Couple breaths here to release. Walking your feet closer to your buns still. We're going to take a big breath in. Big exhale. Belly lock curls our spine. I'm going to keep my feet quite close here and lift up to the bridge. Yeah, heels can be on the floor. Thighs are together. And roll back down. Ooh, my hips are out, friends. All right, so we'll see how I do on this part. We're going to now do another bridge, but I'm going to encourage you to see if you can feel comfortable with your hips opening and not just compression in the lower back while you go up to the bridge. The next thing you can do is reach down for your heels. All right, so feet are together, big breath in. Shoulders are tucked behind you. Exhale, pulling your belly lock in, curving your tailbone up to roll up off the floor. You can walk your tippy toes in and see if you can walk your shoulders towards your heels. And lift your heads up. So if you're in this position, please keep your nose and chin pointed at the ceiling. And release. Walk your shoulders away. Take your thighs to your chest and wrap your arms around your thighs, holding fingers, and press your thighs firmly into your chest, letting your tailbone curl away from the mat. Find your breath. And let that become a stretch of your legs. And bending those legs again. We're going to go ahead and roll over onto our stomachs. Yeah. Go ahead and come to your Sphinx arms. Your Sphinx arms, your elbows are right underneath your shoulders and your palms are on the mat. All fingers on the mat. Remember, we're pressing through all of our hands and our elbows. Yeah, so you want to feel like not just your elbows are down or not just your hands like we do in Cobra. Shoulders rolling a couple times. Feel your back engage. And just softly bend one knee. Go ahead and look at it. And looking back forward, pressing into those hands, lifting your core, bending your other knee, and looking at it with your neck. Chin's rotating, head's rotating, back is active. Good, let that down. Slide those arms out. Come on back to your Sphinx. Legs together. We're going to bend one knee and we're going to grab it with that foot, that arm. If you can grab the inside and then, but if you're grabbing the inside of the ankle, then your leg needs to be centering to pull that shoulder back. Push the foot into the hand, open the chest. And if you're like, what? I can't get that. You can come down. Push here. It'll be a very different stretch though. Also, strap, of course, is very welcome. If you're just reaching, that's fine too. Good, release, switch. Finding your foot on the inside, the leg centers to give yourself a chest opening stretch and push the foot away into the hand to really open and lift. And release that. Hands by your ribs, press up to child's pose. Really push with your hands and open the low back after that big, deep bend. Push the hips down into the feet. Soft roll side to side is welcome. And sliding back out. Before we move on, we're going to just take a moment here to rock our hips and lift our belly buttons off the floor. Yes, so we're doing a little cat-cow action here to open up the lower back. Yeah, cat and cow, and cat and cow. All right, lifting your head, neck, and shoulders up. We're going to slide our arms back. And we're going to use those back muscles, pulling our shoulder blades down and our shoulders back to come to locust. Before we do that, we're going to engage the core. So we're going to take a big breath in. Belly button up, pelvic floor up. Lift your belly like you're trying to do cat pose. And then pull your shoulders back and your legs together for locust. Strong core. Strong back. Legs on the floor today. Hands by the ribs, pressing up, and again pushing back to your child's pose. Opening the back. All right, we're gonna do locust one more time, or bow. So bow would mean that we're gonna grab both of our ankles or feet, or a strap around both of our feet. Yeah, so if you're gonna do a strap around both of your feet, go ahead and wrap that strap around the ankles. If you're gonna do both feet, most of us grab the feet out to the side and then pull them back together. You can grab from the outside or the inside of the feet, but do pull them back. The inside is definitely harder, not necessarily better, just different. You can grab around the top as well. If you are quite flexible, you can walk down to the ankles. I don't know about that for me today. Big breath in. Step one is definitely your core. Exhale, belly buttons in. Lift that belly button up. Imagine you're gonna do the cat pose. Thighs together. Feet push into the hands, and back engages to rise up. Find your breath. And release. Let those feet go. Push back to your child's pose, and that will be it for our effort today. We can settle down into relaxation. Big breath in. Slide your right hand through underneath and twist that back if you like. And back up. And thread the needle back and twist. Letting your shoulder and your head get a little farther apart on the mat. Go ahead and find your way to your cozy Shavasana pose. I will change our music for us. Your back, and give your knees one more hug. Did a lot of arching today, so let yourself rock. Finding your breath. And letting those legs drift down. Blink. And let your arms open up straight to the sides. And let your legs slowly drop to the right and center and to the left, like windshield wipers. And if you find a place to the right that feels good, you can let both legs drift for a moment. center one last time and to the left one last time. Feeling gravity, noticing where the floor touches your body with the most pressure in each of these poses. Let your knees come back up center and walk your feet out wider than your hips, letting those knees knock together and noticing how your low back feels. Maybe bringing your hands to your stomach today. Big breath in, letting the belly rise with the inhale. And letting your lower back soften down to the floor with the exhale. Taking your consciousness to these landmarks of your body, tracing a map on the floor. Go ahead and feel the weight of your skull on the mat without judgment, just noticing the shape of that imprint, taking a deep breath in. Letting the muscles of your skull and your face and jaw release, and deepening down into the mat with the back of the head. Breathing in, feeling the back of your shoulders and your shoulder blades where they make contact with the mat, and letting that contact increase, deepen as you release the weight of your body into the floor. Feeling the mat meet you where you are. Let yourself inhale into that support. And release down into the mat. Noticing the way the back of your elbows and your ribs touch the mat. Letting them be heavy. Letting them sink down into the earth. Breathing into those contact points. Outside of the shoulders. The elbows and the back of the ribs all sink down as you exhale. Breathing into the hips, the pelvis. Notice the way it feels on the floor. Deep breath in. As you exhale, let yourself get heavier down to the mat. Feeling the weight of wherever your legs and ankles and feet meet that mat. Breathing into those contact points, feeling the warm skin against the mat. Let yourself connect with the ground. Be supported by the mat beneath yourself. And release. When you're ready, come on back to your body in your own gentle way. And let your hips push you to the side. And your top leg can reach away to cantilever you up. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're feeling a little more grounded. Even as we floated, that your roots keep you connected to what really matters, and you get to spend your day feeling supported in your own way. It's an honor to have you with me, as always. I'll see you tomorrow.